As a Monster Jam monster truck driver, Tom Meents has made quite the name for himself. It started before his days behind the wheel of Maximum Destruction, but Max D has become the most fitting truck for him throughout his career. Meents has won 8 Monster Jam World Championships. As a top driver, a great performer, and fan favorite, he has become well known nationally and internationally as part of the Monster Jam Tour for his legendary freestyle performances. He has always aimed at pleasing the fans by plowing through trailers, saving Max D from a rollover, generating huge air, and so much more. Now, Meents will always be known for being the first Monster Jam driver to attempt and land a backflip. One of Meents' key phrases is, "Go big or go home," which is exactly what he did with a backflip.
Motor's in the front and the driver's behind the wheel. It's Tom Meents. Oh my, wow. Look at that. Have been instructed to put their scores in, but Tom is continuing on.
Right there, that's what I'm talking about, the positive ruin.
He's a great guy. On the track, he's a different man.
He is the king of big, sick, crazy air.
And he's always going to go big no matter what happens. If the truck's only got one wheel turning, he's going to keep going, and that's why the fans love him.
The truck is still running, and that means Tom's got more for these Houston Monster Jam fans. He can fly around, he can hammer some stuff. Oh, and he can do that.
Stick him in the truck, and it's like you flip a switch. You know, he goes into focus.
Hang on. Hit it.
Classic Max D move right there.
He really does get into the moment, and his fans do drive him.
When he gets out there and he gets in the truck, he's all business.
In the truck, he's crazy. Out of the truck, he's just as crazy. He's a heck of a competitor.
Oh, no. Oh, yes. Look at that.
Yeah, he's a competitor, and he tries hard, man. He runs it hard.
He's got to open his eyes first. Wow. Oh, my.
He's very dedicated.
He's pumped.
He's a good guy. You know, he's always got a smile on his face. He's cheerful.
Once he gets out on the racetrack, he's arrogant and cocky. That's his attitude, and that's how Tom is, and that's how Tom will always be.
Did an awesome job tonight. We've had a lot of work to do to keep it running, but in the end, we created some maximum destruction.
In 2009, Meents knew he wanted to surprise the thousands of fans at Monster Jam's biggest event, Monster Jam World Finals 10, Decade of Destruction. With help from his crew, family, and friends, he was able to pull off the biggest trick ever. Before the big day, word got out about Meents' trick for the fans. The secret started to unravel once other Monster Jam drivers got wind of it.
I have heard a little bit about the backflip, and Tom Meents' name was involved, which obviously that goes hand in hand for what's going to happen because it's something this sport's never seen before. Everyone's always thinking of the next greatest thing, and I think it was just a matter of time before a backflip came into hand. It does kind of make you a little bit nervous thinking they might want this at every single show, and it might become a part of a driver's routine is doing a backflip amongst his freestyle routine. So it gets you a little bit nervous, but obviously it's a sign of things to come.
It's a matter of time, and it was just who was going to do it first. Tom doing it, and he does a lot of crazy stuff freestyle anyway, so you know, maybe he should be the first one, but he won't be the last.
Yeah, that's what we've heard. We've heard Tom is at the Tom Meents camp, you know, getting some preparations. He's built some ramps. He's got his roll cage and stuff beefed up to where he is going to give it a shot. Haven't been out there to see anything, but we have heard little rumors and stuff. I think he can do it. I think he can be successful. I think it's going to take a couple tries. I don't think anybody's going to do it on the first go-around.
We've heard talk about the backflip, you know, and there's been times that we've always wanted to try it out on the track. Do I think he can pull it off? Yes, he can pull it off. I can't see the truck soaring out and getting on its wheels and continue to go yet without really building a wazoo ramp, meaning some kind of a mechanical flipper ramp or something like that. You know, right now until they get the thing figured out, yeah, he can do it.
You know, if Tom gets to do it, and that's fine with me, I'll come up later and try something else different.
I think it's possible. You got to go pretty big to do it, though. You know, I'd love to be able to do it first. You know, I mean, there's been many obstacles I've looked at on the track that you wouldn't even think about hitting them that way, but it would make the backflip possible.
I've grown up watching Tom Meents all the way back from the early Monster Jam days, the early 90s, all the way from his mud racing days, and he's always been that guy that's doing crazy stuff and trying to do just a little bit more than the next guy. So if he's going to attempt this backflip, wouldn't surprise me at all.
It'd be cool to see, just because everybody says it can't be done in a monster truck, but if with the right circumstance, the right ramp, and the right setup, I think it could be done.
We've talked about it before at the shop, you know, there's kind of some discrepancies on his supposedly black flip before because it hit off the back of the truck.
Man, the backflip, it's kind of, nobody thought it was possible, and then the one year we were in Gothenburg and I skied that big thing out and I thought, you know, man, this thing might go over backwards, and didn't quite do it. And then Tom kind of did the same thing. He just kind of came up a little shorter than I did and actually rolled him backwards. We all thought, all right, at this point, you know, we can do a backflip. So backflip is part of freestyle now. It's something we're all going to have to step up and do, I think, to take us all to that next level.
There's been some talk throughout the Monster Jam rumor mill that we're going to try to attempt to do a backflip. We've been acquiring some dirt and some equipment to get everything piled up, ready to go. You know, give it a shot and see what happens. Maybe we'll try it, maybe we won't.
As one of the top drivers for Monster Jam, Meents is always being inspired by other risk takers.
First time I ever seen a motorcycle backflip, I knew right then that someday we needed to do it in a monster truck. I mean, it's breathtaking, it's awesome. You know, you're actually taking a truck and you're doing something totally different with it. You're taking it completely out of sorts and then trying to bring it back. I thought about it for a long time, but when we actually decided we needed to bring it to the decade of destruction, it seemed like a perfect fit, you know. I've been going to Las Vegas World Finals 9 years. We're gonna do it for 10, and we need a little something special for the fans to remember in the decade of destruction. So we set out planning it about 3 months before actual planning to make sure it would actually happen.
Before Meents could attempt the backflip in front of thousands of Monster Jam fans at the World Finals, he and his crew had a lot of preparing to do. The only place to do a practice run was right in Meents' very own backyard, Paxton, Illinois.
That looks way better already. I like that better already. We don't want it to be too steep that the rear don't follow it.
Right, you want the rear to drive up it.
Right.
You don't want it steeper than that right there, do you?
I don't think so. Trial one.
You want it to carry right on through nice. Because you don't want to rotate and then come straight down. You want to rotate through and land and go down the backside.
I'm with you, 100%. I think if anything, maybe go a little mellow at first, and if it don't work, we'll get it steeper.
Right.
You know, I've never hit a wall like this as hard as I'm going to hit this wall. You see what I'm saying? With this much commitment.
So your suspension could react totally different.
Exactly. Maybe I'll be hitting it too fast. It was a very busy day, you know, but fortunately, in a town like Paxton, and it's one of the few towns I know, I mean, everybody was just willing to put in whatever, you know, and I wasn't telling them what kind of stunt we were going to do. I was just telling them we were going to attempt a stunt. Everybody in town, the police, the fire department, the ERS, everybody helped out, you know, and they all came, and they came running for free, and it was really cool to see their support, you know. We don't do any events near home, and to be able to do an event like that right here, I mean, you could really see the support. It was cool.
Tom just said over here, but where you want him is fine, but we need to get the tools off the back of the rescue, and we're going to have a hand lined off of our engine, if that's okay. So those two are going to back in here first, all right?
The day of our first practice run, there was so much stuff to think about. We obviously thought about it in advance, but it was like that day was here. We got out here, ambulances, we had the EMT or EMS blocking off the roads, we have police here, and we had a crowd of people that heard through the fire department, stuff like that we had to caution tape everything off, keep everybody back. We had all the film crew here. We had big wigs from the office here. Initially, I had to get inside the truck, just in case something were bad to happen to Tom if it didn't land the way that we wanted to it, God forbid. So we had to strengthen up the cage. So I put 2 sticks of chromoly tubing into the roll cage itself. A double roll cage. We took some of the other stuff out of the truck. We put a different shock setup on the truck. It was a totally changed truck than what we're used to just for one little backflip.
Start of the day off, everybody came down, got the truck all ready to go, finalized tire pressure, shocks, everything ready for full of fuel, got the streets blocked off, did a little touch up on the ramp.
One of the big worries was if the thing doesn't rotate all the way around, if it was to land directly on top of the roof, that'd be a major blow. You know, we were trying to keep that from happening. In practice, we're actually making a foam pit out of crush cars, you know, to make sure there was some cushion and somewhat of some safety in order for this to go off. I mean, we didn't know how many times it would take before we could make it. I mean, it could have took all day. I was prepared to go at least 4 shots, and then I was going to reevaluate. But I was committed that morning. I was just like, let's go. I'd done enough thinking. I talked about it enough. I knew it was time to make it happen. And I was just only focused on making it happen. I wasn't worried about failing at all.
The first priority for any Monster Jam driver is their safety, and that includes making sure their truck keeps them protected from any mishaps.
I was in here preparing the truck. I mean, that was more along the lines of my baby on that one because it's the truck that I normally travel with. And I do all the welding fabrication, and that's kind of my department. Double caging the truck, getting it ready to go, just to make sure it's sound enough to complete this backflip.
We did some different setups with tires and obviously suspension. We set the suspension in the front different than we did in the rear, something we wouldn't do for a normal race situation. But it was all about making the thing pop off the hill and rotate well. And that was our key worry. So we set up some things a little different than we would have normally for any kind of a race or a freestyle. We're just checking speed more than anything. We wanted to know where our speed was. So when we made an attempt, whether the speed was enough or not enough. So we were just monitoring some speed. We had a radar gun here on loan from the Paxton Police Force. And we thought, well, if we do make it, we need to know about how fast we're going. If we don't, we need to know how fast we were going to go faster or slower. So we actually had radar on site.
You talked about this headwind. Is this going to make any difference at all?
Not at all. Not on a 10,000-pound monster truck.
Nice. And first attempt, what do you think?
50-50.
Yeah, but we're here at the shop. You got your boys, you got the A-team here, so anything that happens, we're going to go fix it and try it again.
We're going to do it as many times as we need to make this happen.
After months of preparation, the day Meents had been waiting for had arrived. It was time for the first attempt.
Came up to the ramp, really didn't know what would happen, had a really tall gear in the truck and thought we might need wheel speed in order to get it to rotate. Hit the ramp, obviously it wasn't steep enough to get any rotation. It just jumped like crazy high. Once I got in the air, I'm like, holy cow, this is the highest I've ever been by far. And I got to thinking, I might be jumping a little far. Hopefully I'll hit the cars. And fortunately, I just hit the last 2 cars. Or it could have been like severe back injury or definitely a lot of damage to maximum destruction.
First attempt, overshot, no rotation, got huge sick air, landed out on the cars. Pretty cool to watch, but not what we were aiming for. Went back, did a little bolt tightening, a little checking out on things in between first and second run.
The first time the ramp wasn't perfectly right. It just soared through the air at a wicked angle. I love the angle when he hit that thing. It was awesome looking. Tom came back around. We didn't even bring it back inside the shop. We just stayed out there, looked at everything that was the matter with the truck. We blew up a couple of shocks on it, so we put a couple of shocks on it. Just looked over the truck really good to make sure everything was ready to go for a second hit. Because quite honestly, we weren't leaving until we were going to do it. It was going to be accomplished no matter if it was 2 o'clock in the morning or not.
Tom Meents was rolling on uncharted territory with the backflip, and after his first attempt, he knew what needed to be done in order for the next try to go off without a hitch.
I knew we needed to do a lot of stuff different with the ramp. I mean, we got absolutely no rotation. It just followed the actual angle of the jump and just went straight up.
I really wasn't expecting it to do what it did, you know? But that's why we play the game. Don't touch from this point
I see it.
up.
I know right where you're talking.
Make the bottom steeper, okay? I want to see the same basic thing, but you need 2 to 3 out of the bottom there. Make that a damn, it's gotta.
Yeah, but if I go too deep here, then you're gonna leave there and this is nothing.
All right.
So I gotta blend it.
I got you. You gotta do something, that's for sure. Now we're gonna clean the bottom up like crazy with a skid steer. Just mirror the top part and then we'll get the bottom with the skid steer.
I knew I needed to go faster. I knew that I needed a different gear in it. The first gear was just too much wheel speed. I think I needed more horsepower, a lower gear to make more of a jump when I hit the hill.
I'm gonna leave it in second. I'm gonna get up more speed and I'm gonna ease back a little bit.
You want a 19 over?
No, 19 under. Underdriven, 19.
Well, transfer case gears, anybody changes them. We always do, depending on the size of the track that we run on. An 1800 is basically a smaller gear, which is more along the lines of power over speed. He wanted a 1900 gear, which we run a lot in the stadium shows. And it's about the perfect amount of speed and power as soon as you hit the hill to have quite a bit left over in reserve just to get up it.
The truck wasn't hurt. I knew we had everything here to fix it. The people, the parts, you know, it had to happen that day. You know, that was all there was to it.
He's sitting there backing up into his perfect little spot because everything's got to be perfect to do this. And Brandon's backing him up and I see him hold up the sign. We get all the thumbs up and I'm just standing up here by the door like, okay, here we go.
Second run, backed him up, kind of nosed up to it, went back, backed him up again.
I wanted to see the front of that truck begin to flip, go backwards. I knew that was the key. Had to get a quick start on it early. And that's where I was, but I was already through it. I was already flipped over and back on the tires by the point I took off. I mean, that's where I mentally was.
After a few modifications to maximum destruction and the ramp were completed, Meents was sure everything was perfect for the second run.
You know, I got my speed up nice to a nice level, and then I leveled it off. You know, I wanted to leave plenty of throttle to hit the hill, so when I hit the hill I could really jump on the motor, and it turned out to be just perfect. And that's what I did. I loaded it up when I hit the hill, and it came around so fast and so easy. It was like perfect, perfect.
And he finally hits it and that truck just whips around. And I think all of our jaws were dropped to the floor so we couldn't really say anything. Everybody just goes total chaos.
It felt awesome, you know, it happened so fast. I mean, I didn't even know what was going on, but you know, we had a wall, we had a more aggressive wall than before. Man, I lied, that thing hit like a ton. And when it came around, I was like, perfect, it's going around. And I thought, uh-oh, I'm on the wrong side of the pile, but hey, it worked out nonetheless. I didn't get hurt, you know, it kind of surprised me. It didn't land that bad, honestly. I think I was just so happy I completed it. Right. Maybe tomorrow it'll hurt, but you know what? Right now, nothing hurts.
It was cool, man. I mean, everybody was so excited. I mean, we got it done quickly. There was actually quite a big crowd that had gathered here because, you know, anytime you fire a truck up around here and people see one moving, they start coming by and checking it out. So we ended up getting quite a few onlookers, you know. It was just an exciting moment to see that it actually could happen. We did it, and we did it in the right time frame on the perfect day.
It was totally gratifying. All the hard work that we've done, all the preparations that we've made, it was just finally there. We did it. It was just a total load going off of our shoulders.
When he landed down on the back, after the backflip on all fours, all four tires, he sheared a couple kingpin caps, bent some steering parts, nothing too horrible. He's definitely done worse during a freestyle than he did during this one particular backflip, so all in all, it was all right.
It actually just broke a kingpin cap. It's a pretty inexpensive part, maybe $150. in the lower kingpin. I mean, it hit so hard. I mean, it's surprisingly, I mean, the rear hit harder than the front because the rear was actually rotating around. And when it slammed down, that's what it was. That was the only damage.
The practice backflip had come and gone. Hopefully, history was about to be made in front of thousands. But before Meents' encore performance, he was looking for another championship at the Monster Jam World Finals 10.
The reason I wanted to do the backflip at the World Finals was we needed something special, something extra special. I'd been there all 10 years, and I wanted to leave the fans that have been there all 10 years knowing that what they saw was spectacular.
A lot of the drivers all week leading up to the show in Vegas had rumors and flying all around that we're gonna try it. They didn't know we had already done it at the house in the previous week.
The Vegas thing, you know, we wanted to keep it quiet just because the fans, we wanted it to be a big shock to the fans, the Monster Jam fans, and we wanted it to be a big shock to everybody, just so they'd be like, wow, we didn't even know that was going on.
Word was leaking out that something was gonna happen. So many people involved. You knew a little bit of a leak would get out, and it did. But people were asking me, I was denying it, you know, but the key thing about it is there's so much to do that day. Autographs, so many fans to meet, so many people travel so many miles to see the World Finals. And you want to make something extra special when they get a chance to meet you. On top of that, you had a Racing World Championship to try to get, a Freestyle World Championship to try to get, and then a backflip to try to accomplish. So it was a busy, busy day. But most importantly, I thought, well, I just need to concentrate on one thing at a time. And number one was racing. So that was where my concentration started.
7-time world champion Tom Meents and Maximum Destruction. Bradshaw's hanging in there with Meents. It's going to go to the turn. And Tom Meents and Maximum Destruction. Now it'll be Maximum Destruction in the advanced auto parts lane, Brutus in the Ford trucks lane. Brutus is running tough, but Tom Meents has the lead into the turn. And it will be all Maximum Destruction. Where have we seen this movie played before? We are going to the Advanced Auto Parts start line for the semifinals of World Finals 10 in the Advanced Auto Parts lane. 7-time world champion Tom Meents and Maximum Destruction in the Ford trucks lane. A driver looking for the biggest win of his racing career, Mark McDonald, and the Safe Auto Minimizer Ford. The winner goes to the championship race. McDonald has the lead. Safe Auto has a slight edge to the final turn. Can Meents make up the ground? Oh my, Mark McDonald gave him a great run. Oh, and it collided. The Advanced Auto Parts lane, the battle for the 10th World Racing Championship. Tom Meents has won a record 8 World Championship. He has returned to the top of the mountain. Maximum Destruction is the world champion.
So special. The cool thing about it is I've been here for 10 years and that truck's a decade old. Everybody just got their butts kicked by a 10-year-old truck.
Once racing was over, I just turned the switch and went right to freestyle. I felt really good about freestyle because I'd already had a successful racing night. I thought, man, I could really capture another double down here if the truck will hold together.
Mark, you might say he's playing on house money. He's already won championship number 8, going for number 9. He's already going big here in Las Vegas. Oh no, look at this. Can he save it?
Yes.
He's back on all fours, Scott Douglas.
I really didn't doubt myself at all. I was just worried about the truck, if anything, holding together. Sometimes my stunts become too spectacular too early, which oftentimes is the case. I felt really good. I went out there, I aired it out awful big. It broke. Unfortunately, I wasn't able to continue. Had a lot of damage. did the best we could, so it was on to the backflip. Needed to move on to step 3. You know, it was a busy night. There never was a chance for me to just stop and relax and talk with other drivers. I think people thought I might have been distant and off, but I had a lot going on. So I had to really hold it together and only concentrate on the task ahead.
The truck was warmed up. I didn't get to watch his freestyle just because the truck was warming up. He came up running to the truck, gave me a pat on the shoulder, got in the truck, didn't really say anything. I said good luck, and he took off.
When he got done with his freestyle run in Vegas, drug the truck out, grabbed the seat pads out of there, threw them in the truck, clipping his R3 on, and you know, you could tell he was pumped. He's ready to do it, ready to get the show on the road, sitting there in the tunnel waiting to go out, and he just kind of gave you a nod and away he went.
And I remember getting all strapped in and being all ready to go, helmet on, and all the fireworks were going off to signify that the World Finals was over, and I knew it was my time to try to make the unbelievable happen.
You know, when we saw Tom pulling out there, we knew he was going to do something special. We figured he was going to put on another encore, go around, do some big jumps. I know he wasn't real happy with his freestyle run, so we're all thinking, all right, let's line up and watch this. This is for the fans. This is going to be a great time, and we're getting ready to anticipate something massive.
You know, we've known Tom to ride out there, try to get the crowd gassed up. This time he didn't. He kind of just rolled out there. I think the butterflies were kind of chirping on him a little bit.
That whole moment consisted of the stadium, which everybody knows that Tom comes out for an encore. They always know he brings at least 2 trucks. The stadium thought he was just coming out to do a second freestyle, basically. They weren't really expecting what was getting ready to happen to him.
If anything, I might have been going a little faster than I should have, because instead of making 1 revolution, it made about a revolution and a half. It got a little bit more, you know, rotation than it did here in practice. Some of that might have been me so amped up to do it, I think. But after, you know, winning racing World Finals and performing in freestyle, you get a little bit excited before we actually got the chance to do the backflip. So if anything, I probably was a little bit too gung-ho and attacked the ramp a little bit too fast.
When we came out and did it, I looked around and really just kind of a shock and awe moment on all the drivers' faces and crew people and everybody.
Unbelievable. Got to see a treat. Went 1.5 times around it. I didn't think you were going to get 1 time around, and what he did was spectacular. And man, that took some commitment to get him to do that. I can't believe the guy had the guts to go for that.
Looking at the track, really didn't see any obstacles at all that it looked like somebody could pull it off. And then they started pulling cars away, and it's like, well, I know what he's going to try. And yeah, I mean, it was just amazement, you know, looking at it and knowing that he was actually going to go out there and try to do it.
Wanted to get back to the show to watch it, you know what I mean? Because I knew they were doing something special at the end. Tom does the backflip in front of everybody for the first time. He actually over-rotates, which was, you know, I mean, it was crazy, and I think he's able to do 2 backflips now after seeing that. It's like 2 backflips in place.
Leave it to Tom to go out there and try to pull off something like he did, and he actually made it look pretty easy.
He went out there, hit the truck, just went up in the air, went over a little bit. It's kind of making all of us think that there might be a double backflip before too much longer, because he had excellent rotation on that. The truck landed. I don't think I'd seen but maybe 2 or 3 flashes from a camera just because they were all shocked when he was going over. Landed, crowd goes crazy, we go running out throwing shirts. It was an awesome time.
When I was out at the World Finals, we're sitting there, and we already knew the cat was out of the bag, that Tom was going to do this backflip. When Tom done what he done out there, he honestly hit the thing a little too hard. The thing done like 2 flips, and then landed on its roof, you know, at the World Finals.
I thought it was cool. Of course, I was worried about when he landed on his roof and hoped he was all right. You know, he did a 1.5 rotation, so the first thing I thought of was, why not just try and do that other half a rotation, and he could have been all right. So it was cool. I just can't wait to maybe see a double backflip. I'm sure he's going to try it.
When Tom came out and they pulled away the cars where the ramp had already been carved out perfectly for that attempt, it was nerve-wracking because we knew as a certain part of history that was going to change in Monster Jam, and he'd go out there and he pulled it off. It was so hard to celebrate because you're just blown away by the whole fact that it just happened. So it was definitely a moving moment for a driver, knowing that the new bar had been set, And Tom Meents, he was the guy that did it. So
if you really weren't watching it, I think you'd have missed the approach. But I tell you what, he went out there, textbook, smacked that ramp the way he needed to, and pulled it off. Hats off there to him. It was cool to see him climb up on the top of that dirt mound and just to chuckle and laugh. You know, he pulled off something that he tried. He practiced at home, and rightfully so. And at the World Finals, he completed it, and it was awesome.
It was cool. I mean, actually at that point, all the stuff I've been preparing to do for like the 3 months was done. You know, it was so cool being able to win racing, being able to have the truck ready to do freestyle, and did our best. Being able to make a backflip in practice here at home, and then being able to do a backflip at World Finals in Las Vegas. It was a tall order of stuff that needed to be done, and it was just so cool to have it all over with and not even be hurt. That was the topper on the whole thing. That was the icing on the cake. You know, it was all about the fans. I mean, it was for them. You know, we had some special t-shirts already made up for all the crew, and they were available for all the fans that night. It was good to be able to go up there and enjoy it with the fans. I mean, that's what it was all about. That's why we did it. We wanted it to be special for them to see.
When the crowd had settled down from cheering in honor of Meents' encore performance, other drivers started to doubt his landing. Was history made or not?
He did a backflip, but he almost did too much of a backflip. Didn't quite land it.
He over-rotated, landed upside down. So I don't know if you can call it success there because he didn't land back on his wheels. He landed upside down.
I've always thought of doing a backflip more like freestyle motocross, you know, where it kind of like rotates through the air and kind of travels through the air and you kind of land it on a landing ramp.
We've all looked at a backflip as being a ramp to ramp, flipping a truck in the air and landing it, but he just put a different twist on it. He did do a backflip in the air and land the truck back on the wheels.
It's something that guys are going to have a good time with and trying to refine and make it good. I don't know if you do a backflip, I think you do have to land on all fours and drive out of it. You have to go somewhere, just not stop.
I think he did a backflip. Successfully landing is another thing. But I mean, knowing Tom, he's going to keep trying, and he'll get the thing on all fours.
When I think of backflip, I'm thinking of like the guys with the, you know, the supercross and motocross guys on their dirt bikes doing a backflip and they keep on going. So it's not there yet.
There's always going to be naysayers, and you didn't do, and you can't do. I don't worry about doing that to everybody else. I just focus on what I can do and what I want to do and move forward.
Over the span of 3 months, Meents achieved what he set out to do. He prepared and completed a backflip in a 5-ton monster truck at the Monster Jam World Finals in Las Vegas. But there's still a lot of unanswered questions and critics who want to know what's to come for the sport of Monster Jam.
We're ready to explode right now, the monster truck scene. It's huge, it's all over the world, and it's becoming mainstream slowly but surely. And I think a backflip will launch us into oblivion as far as being totally mainstream and to break the stigma that we have right now, and it'll bring us to the next level.
Eventually, we're going to get to the point to where everybody's going to be trying the backflip, and once they pull that off, the next step is, you know, you got to think of something new. And right now, you know, Tom's on top of it. You know, there's nobody that's done it other than him, and you know, I think that it's hard to say where we're going to go. I just know bigger and better.
You know, of course, I love to see it all the time, but if it's only if it's safe and our trucks are safe.
As far as for the future of freestyle, you know, if the right obstacle is out there on the floor, it's going to get pretty interesting now, especially for some of these guys trying to make a name for themselves. They're going to say, well, I'll sacrifice my truck and let me go out there and destroy it and try to do this backflip, you know. And a lot of them, I'm sure, are going to be trying it or trying to do something else, and by accident are going to pull off something. So it's going to make freestyle real interesting.
Will the backflip be the standard for all freestyle performances?
I think when you do a backflip once, there's going to be enough people watching and making sure that everything's safe to go. And there's not going to be any personal injury, but if you start throwing it into a routine where it happens at every Monster Jam, because that's what the fans want to see, it's going to be a bit scarier thing. I think you might see heavier roll cages, a bit more driver precaution so we don't get hurt in the seat.
I think there's going to have to be purpose-built obstacles to do certain, you know, stunts, tricks, whatever you want to call it. And it's going to take skill to attempt it too. You're not going to just go out there and hit these jumps and do it. You still have to know what you're doing.
Going back to sporting a ton, you know, it's just like when the freestyle motocross guys, they started trying it. You know, it's still a big hit for those guys, but to take a 10,000-pound monster truck and come out there and charge at a ramp and do a backflip, That's going to really change the sport a lot.
I think it's going to be great, you know, and once we start, you know, you always have to start somewhere. The backflip, even if it's a back flop, you know, you've got to start somewhere, and I really, truly think that it's going to work, you know, as the sport rolls on, and Monster Jam's not going to die. I'm going to tell you that right now, and I know that I've been here going on 28 years now, and always wondered the next year, the next year, the next year. This thing has done nothing but quadruple in popularity, and we're just still growing, man. And as long as we're growing, we still, as drivers out here and as competitors, we have to think of new obstacles and new things to do for our crowd, you know, for the people to come, because we want to keep that madness going. So the question being, yeah, for the madness of the sport, we're going to perfect the backflip. It's going to be a plus because everybody's going to start doing it.
Monster Jam fans worldwide will be on the edge of their seats as long as the sport continues to push the limits to the max.
I mean, Monster Jam will always be very unpredictable. Different drivers, different trucks, trying, attempting, and succeeding at new stuff. So it'll stay on the cutting edge and new for everyone, including the Monster Jam fan.
With the possibilities circulating for new tricks and new obstacles, Monster Jam will always be indestructible.